I came across a conversation between two supposed friends on social media. One was seeking for advice, or I rather say seeking for approval. She did something wrong and wants to continue in that path of wrong. And so she went to her other friend to seek for advice or approval. Things went south during the conversation, and the other friend, who is the advisee, took the matter to social media. She shared the screenshots of the conversation, apparently to justify the advice she gave to the other friend, who became so upset. I read through the chats and it wasn't difficult to discover what went wrong in the conversation. The other friend, who is the advisee, actually gave a fantastic advice which is morally upright, but then something was just off about it. The conversation turned into a hot quarrel, and as I read through the first slide, the second slide, I became a little irritated. In as much as the advisor was saying the right things, there was just something about the way she was putting them that will throw anybody off. I definitely don't want to be advised that way. I picked a lesson from this scenario. It kind of reminded me of how emotionally immature we can be sometimes, especially in delicate situations that require us to apply some level of self-awareness when handling. Life is basically about sharing. We share our emotions, we share our feelings, we share our problems, we share our attitudes, we seek for advice, and all of this entails having interpersonal relationship among people. This sharing I'm talking about is more pronounced in adult relationship. For you to be called an adult, you must have been seen as somebody who is mature. But being mature is not just about the physical maturity. How about your emotional maturity? Oftentimes we equate maturity to someone's physical growth, how big you are, or your age. We fail to put into consideration that maturity is also about how you are able to manage emotions of people and your own emotions. Someone who is emotionally mature is someone who is able to identify their own feelings, identify the feelings of others, and respond appropriately to such emotions. A key part of every relationship, even with children, is communication. And for you to be able to communicate appropriately, you must be able to recognize feelings and how to respond to these feelings. And not just responding, but respecting people's feelings. This is what creates rapport and trust among people. And when people begin to feel that trust, that rapport with you, that is when they become comfortable and they begin to open up with you, confide in you, or even seek advice from you. Now, when people begin to confide in you, your first job is never to let their emotions down. From that conversation I talked about, I could see that the person who came for advice felt embarrassed. I'm sure she regretted why she ever came for such, because it ended in serious quarrel. You can imagine sharing your problems with your friend only for you people to end up in name calling and becoming enemies simply because emotions were not managed properly. Somebody who is emotionally immature finds it difficult to put into consideration the feeling of the other person, and therefore they pass off as being selfish or being aloof. When relating with people, or when people come to you for advice, there are some things that you do that pass you off as being emotionally immature. And some of those things includes invalidating someone's feelings. One of the reasons why people come to you to complain about their problems is because they have had it up to this place. They're just looking for somebody to tell, just to clear their minds, to air their mind, to rub minds together with somebody, just to share their feelings basically with somebody. The least thing you can do is to at least listen to that person while they pour out their mind. It is not in your place to invalidate their feelings and make it look like it's nothing. If it is nothing, they wouldn't be telling you. Don't go about telling the person, oh, you are lucky, or people go through worse things. You know, we are very fond of doing that in Nigeria or in Africa. When somebody is complaining about their problems, the next thing you are telling them about people who are going through the worst. Yes, I know you want to provide some kind of encouragement and support, but can you please just listen first? Like, listen. When you finish listening, try to provide productive advice. Don't tell them there is somebody who is going through it. It can get worse. It can get worse than this. I know you want them to be strong. That's why you're giving them instances of cases which are even worse than theirs. But at that point, that's not why the person has come to you. The person just wants to feel understood. So why don't you just listen and provide the best advice you can as it is to that situation? Don't make the person feel foolish or ungrateful. Try to understand them at their own level of pain. There's no need for you to compare situations. They are not there for you to compare to them. Another character that passes you off as being emotionally immature is changing the subject to talk about yourself. Don't be in a haste to make every conversation about you. I understand sometimes we want to use ourselves as an example just for the person who is complaining to see that, okay, I understand you. We are passing the same situation, or I have passed something similar before. Yes, I know that is very important, but then limit the way you do it. Don't end up talking about yourself. At that point, the person came to you. You didn't go to the person. So the person came to you. It's your job to listen to the person and advise the person properly instead of making it all about yourself. Another thing people do in relationship that pass them off as being emotionally mature is expecting others to make them their full focus. We live this life individually, so no matter how close you are to somebody, you must give them the space to live their own personal life. More like give them their personal space. Everything is not going to be about you. The world does not revolve around you. Yeah. They mustn't consult you for everything. They mustn't share everything with you. They don't owe you explanation to everything. So give them the space to live their life independently outside from you. It's not a joint living. This is popular among girls. When a friend of theirs begins to make another friend, you see some girls being jealous that, okay, you have met somebody new and you're making friends with that person. Come on, the person does not owe you their life. If people are just friends and they have the right to make as many friends as they want, so you go ahead and make your own friends instead of you sitting over there and whining about that. They're just being immature. Another bad character is when you lash out on people or give them silent treatment. When someone does something wrong, oftentimes they get bad conscience. That bad conscience is already a punishment enough. So why are you adding insult to injury by lashing out? Of what use is that lashing out? What that lashing out will do is to put the person on the defensive side. Nobody likes to be scolded like a child. Even children don't like to be scolded. So when you're lashing out, the person becomes tensed up and the person wants to defend their actions. So at the end of the day, you are not achieving any results. To be sincere, you're not achieving any results, because instead of it to allow the person's conscience to do the work, you are doing the work, and then you are removing the little remorse that was there in their conscience. So now you're giving them reason for what they even did, so they even feel justified because of the way you're already lashing out. They may even feel justified. You might say some people don't get that bad conscience. Yes, that's true. There are some people who don't feel remorse at all. But then what are you going to do about it? Is your lashing out going to make them feel remorseful? No, it's not going to change anything. So the best thing is, once you've communicated to that person in a way that shows that you are displeased with whatever they did, just go ahead and set a healthy boundary, because they don't feel bad for what they did. They don't even see anything wrong with it. If you lash out, it will not make them to see it. So you just have to maintain your own sanity and keep your own boundary. Now, for those who dish out silence treatments, being silent doesn't really solve the problem, right? Because you are being silent that somebody wronged you. Meanwhile, the person may not actually know how exactly they wronged you. So how are they going to apologize, or how are they going to do better if they don't know what they did wrong? So it's just best you express yourself. Communication is very important. Express yourself, express your displeasure, express whatever you have to express, instead of just keeping silence. The person may not even notice the silence, and even if the person notices the silence, the person will feel, oh, why is this person acting so immature? You could have just told me. So I think as adults, that silent treatment, no. Another thing that adults do that risks of emotional immaturity is blaming others or being judgmental. Blaming others is one of the easiest things to do, right? Just find the fault, find the person that is befitting and put them together. Boom. Anybody that is not you, right? Yeah, I know. But have you imagined somebody else blaming you? I'm sure you must have been blamed by someone else before, and you know how that felt. Like somebody, without even properly analyzing the situation, would just jump into conclusion and put the whole fault on your head. You know how that felt, right? That's how it feels. So blaming others is very unproductive and can also build tensions. The same goes for being very judgmental. I know it's very easy for humans to judge. Like, we like to judge a lot. Judging people is very, very easy. It's just like when you're watching a football and you're analyzing, oh, this person should have kicked it this way, or this person should have done this person doesn't know how to play, but this person, like, you just keep judging and saying all kinds of things. But when they put you in that same field, you realize that you may even perform worse than the person that you have been judging. So that is just how life is. Don't be in a haste to judge people without even understanding the situation on ground, because this also makes you to show lack of empathy. If you can't imagine yourself in the person's shoes, that means you won't be able to show empathy, because you don't understand how it feels to be in that kind of situation. The last thing I would like to talk about is guilt tripping others, trying to make people to feel guilty for not bending to your way, for not doing your wishes or whatsoever. It is very, very immature to do that. If you feel somebody is not treating you the right way, the best thing to do is to communicate with that person and let them know exactly how you feel. Not going through the corners to guilt trip people or shame them for the things they cannot do for you, or for the things you can't even do for your own self. Every time you're always the one to say, you don't call me, you have forgotten me, you have done this, you have done that. What about you? Nobody is stopping you from calling that person. Nobody is stopping you from checking up on them. You don't know what people go through. Because they don't come to tell you does not mean they don't go through things. So it's really, really very immature and insensitive of anybody to start guilt tripping people. Just come out complain and express your displeasure regarding a situation, a particular situation, not just some random guilt tripping. I know some of these things we just act it out of emotions. It's not really who we are, or it's not really who we want to be. That is why it's also good to always reminisce on your conversations with people. Reevaluate your conversations. How did I manage this situation, especially when it has escalated? How did I manage this situation? What did I say? What did I not say? What could I have said, or how could I have possibly handled it better? This will also help you to be more conscious of your future relationship with others or your future conversations. So before you say something, at least there should be that awareness of the things to say and the things not to say, and more importantly, how you say them. All of us are still learning, irrespective of how old we are. We are still learning this life. We are still learning how to survive, and all of these things are still part of our survival skills. Nobody has mastered it all. I'm just saying we should be more conscious, we should be more aware. And thank you very much for listening to this video to this point. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends, like this video, leave your comments down below, because I'm sure there is a whole lot of other things that we do that show that we're emotionally mature. I may not be able to talk about everything, so I would like your contributions on that. Leave it under the comment section. Thank you so much, and see you in my next video. And wait, subscribe to this channel.